London, spring of 1760. In a grand house a woman is dying, and half of England is whispering about it. Her name is Maria Gunning, Countess of Coventry. She is 27 years old, and for almost 10 years now, she has been called one of the most beautiful women in Europe. Crowds once gathered in Hyde Park simply to watch her walk down the path. Once, if we are to believe her contemporaries, onlookers surrounded her just to stare at her while she ate. People chased her through the streets. Her face was sold as engravings, and now she lies upstairs in a darkened room and lets no one see that face. The famous skin, the very one, glowing porcelain, admired by an entire continent, is ruined. Her teeth have loosened, her eyes are inflamed. Her youth has curdled into something dreadful to look upon, and the cause is not an illness. The cause stands beside her bed, on the dressing table, in a small and elegant jar. Maria Gunning is being killed by her own cosmetics. Ah, good evening. Jasper Diggs, at your service. Do come in, mind the draft. Tonight we shall open a lady's dressing table, that innocent little altar of powders and paints, and find among the ribbons and puffs a genuine poison. For almost 3 centuries, the fashionable people of Europe painted their faces with lead. For the most part, they knew it was maiming them, and they painted themselves anyway, because the cruel arithmetic of vanity is the same in every age. Beauty today, in exchange for a shortened tomorrow. So then, let us make acquaintance with the fashion itself, with its victims, with their faces, and with the cure that proved very nearly deadlier than the disease. The chief villain of our story had a beautiful name, Venetian ceruse. It sounds almost like a perfume, yet in truth, it was a paste of lead, ground together with vinegar. It was laid upon the face, the neck, and the bosom in a thick, even layer, until living skin became a smooth, cold, flawless mask, and it worked, one must admit, admirably. No other powder gave such a dense, luminous whiteness. The face looked like polished marble, and pallor in those days meant status. It announced to all that you did not bend your back in the fields beneath the sun, that you were a creature of a higher order, almost otherworldly. The tone was set by the Queen herself, and here we must speak of Elizabeth I. Toward the end of her life, Elizabeth applied ceruse in a layer so thick that her contemporaries compared her face to a mask. Historians have named this image exactly so, the mask of youth. She had survived smallpox, which left scars upon her skin, and she hid them beneath ever heavier layers of lead. And there is more. If you watched my tale about sugar, you will remember this. Elizabeth had blackened teeth. A German traveler who saw her up close remarked, politely, that the Queen was rather too fond of sweets. So picture the whole portrait. A snow-white mask of lead, and beneath it, teeth blackened by sugar. The beauty of the age seen up close looked nothing at all like the one upon the ceremonial canvas. The courtiers copied the Queen, and what the court does, the whole country soon begins to do as well. There was but one problem. The lead ate away at the very skin it was meant to adorn. Let me tell you exactly what the lead did to the skin, because it matters if we are to understand all the rest. At first, the skin beneath the ceruse began to dry and tighten. It lost its living color, turning gray and coarse. Then came the peeling. A thin film of skin flaked away, laying bare the irritated, inflamed surface beneath. Scars and dark blotches appeared, the skin quite literally shriveled, creasing into wrinkles well before its time. At the hairline, the eyebrows fell out and the hair thinned, for the lead poisoned those too. The gums blackened and receded, exposing the roots of the teeth. The teeth loosened and fell away. In severe cases came trembling hands, paralysis, and a clouding of the mind. We now call this Saturnism, lead poisoning. The lead did not stay upon the face. It seeped through the skin into the blood, and for years it gathered in the bones, poisoning the body from within. And here the devil's trap snapped shut. What did a woman do, seeing in the mirror her ruined, gray, flaking skin? She laid on yet more ceruse to hide it. The more harm the lead did, the more lead was needed to conceal the harm. Many did not wash the paint away for weeks. They simply refreshed it over the old layer, for scrubbing it off was agonizingly hard, and the face laid bare beneath was far too dreadful to be shown. Let us return to Maria Gunning. Who was she? And why did her story so astonish her contemporaries? Maria and her sister Elizabeth were the daughters of an impoverished Irish gentleman. There was no money, there was no dowry, there was only one thing: two dazzlingly beautiful faces, and that was enough. All London buzzed about the beautiful Irish girls. Engravings of their faces sold out, and on beauty alone, the two of them soared to titles. Maria became a countess, and Elizabeth married a duke. Here is what matters for our story. Beauty for Maria was not vanity, it was her entire fortune, the one thing that had raised a penniless Irish girl so very high. And just how far that single currency could carry such a woman, one story shows best of all. And now my favorite story about Maria. She was presented to the king, old George II. One was expected to tremble. Instead, Maria brazenly declared that she had grown quite bored with every spectacle in London, and that what she longed to see above all else in the world was a royal coronation, which is to say, she politely hinted that she could hardly wait for the old king to die and a new one to be crowned. And do you know what befell her for this impudence? Nothing. The king roared with laughter. He was old, good-natured, devoted to pretty women and coarse humor, and from a beauty, he took insolence not as an insult, but as wit. Therein lies the whole essence of that age. Beauty was currency. A beautiful woman was forgiven what would have seen a plain one shown the door. Maria's charm was her shield, but that very same cult of beauty was also her undoing. Beauty was all that she was. To part with the ceruse would be to cease being herself. And so, when her face began to crumble, she painted herself all the more diligently. She died at 27. She entered history as the woman killed by her own beauty. And here the central question arises. If lead so maimed those who used it, why did everyone carry on? And here is the astonishing part. The poisonous nature of lead was known. The physicians of antiquity, 1500 years before Maria, wrote that lead was dangerous to the body. In the 18th century, educated doctors warned ladies plainly of the perils of ceruse. The knowledge was there. It simply changed nothing, for three reasons. The first, no one connected cause and effect. The paint gave beauty at once, while the reckoning came only years later, in the guise of poor health, bad blood, women's ailments. And who would think to blame the dear little pot of powder she had used since girlhood? The second, there were no laws whatever. Sell what you please, print perfectly harmless upon the label, and no one would come to check. Only in 1869 did the medical journal The Lancet analyze the fashionable powders and find dangerous lead within them, while the labels naturally proclaimed them absolutely safe. And the third most powerful reason, the pressure of society is more terrible than the fear of death. To appear in company without ceruse meant to fall out of one's own circle, to become invisible, unfashionable, no one. And by the standards of that age, this was very nearly worse than dying. The knowledge of danger was abstract and far away. Beauty was concrete, immediate, and obligatory. And that is not all, for lead was only the beginning. When the skin grew ruined, women sought some means to restore its glow, and the market gladly offered remedies, whitening waters and creams, promising smoothness and pallor. Many of them contained mercury, which truly did whiten the face, simply by burning away its upper layer. And some took arsenic. There were arsenic complexion wafers, which ladies swallowed to look intriguingly pale. A woman poisoned by lead treated herself with mercury and arsenic. Over the deathly white face they laid a vivid rouge, and one of the popular red pigments, vermilion, was a sulfide of mercury. So even the healthy flush upon those cheeks was painted in poison, and into the eyes they dropped a tincture of belladonna, the deadly nightshade, to widen the pupils and lend the gaze a languid gleam. The plant was so venomous that it slowly ruined the eyesight. Picture the whole scene entire. A woman sits at her dressing table, the paint upon her face, lead, the rouge, mercury, the cream, arsenic, the drops in her eyes, a poison that steals her sight. From the crown of her head to the tip of her chin, An entire apothecary of slow poisons applied with love and the greatest of care, and all of it to look more alive, more healthy, more beautiful. So then, shall we shake our heads with condescension, looking upon these poor souls of the past poisoned by fashion? I would not be so quick, for here is the question that will not let me go. These women were not foolish. Many knew or suspected that the ceruse was harming them. The doctors warned them, the rumors went about, the victims were there for all to see, and still they carried on. Not because they failed to grasp the risk, but because the price of refusal to become invisible, ordinary, no one, seemed to them more terrible than the poison itself. And now look at our own dressing table, at the treatments, the injections, the creams we spread upon our faces without ever properly reading the label, because we have been promised youth. Every age is certain that its own beauty, at least, is safe and scientific. The Victorians thought precisely the same. Their little pot, too, said perfectly harmless. Maria Gunning knew that her paints were killing her, and she painted herself to the very last day. And perhaps the most unsettling thing in this whole story is not how strange her choice was. It is how well we understand it. Good night, and, perhaps, wash your face tonight before bed.